Hello and welcome to Holistic Yoni Care. I'm Dominique Danielle, and this video is just a brief introduction to this channel to let you know a little bit about what you can expect from me. And also I'll share some of my stories so that you know where I'm coming from and why I'm so passionate about this work. So as I said, I'm Dominique Danielle, a naturopathic Reiki master teacher, speaker, author of 3 books, and also I'm working towards a certification as a trauma-informed Purple Lotus yoga teacher. And aside from all of these fun, amazing things, I'm also a homeschooling mom to 2 beautiful sons, both of whom I had the pleasure of a home birth. The second was actually a free birth or unassisted childbirth. And I live here in the North Dallas area with my family. So that's just a little bit about who I am today. So before I dive into my story, I'd like to share with you really quickly what my deepest passion and mission is, and a little bit more about what I actually do. So my mission is to create nourishing spaces where women feel free and safe to fully embody all of who they are and express that into the world. And these are spaces where we can heal, connect, grow, and thrive collectively in sisterhood. That's really the basis for everything that I do. And Holistic Yoni Care is an extension of that mission. And this is a company I started so that I could provide women with the resources and tools they need to build an intimate relationship with their bodies so that they could build unshakable self-confidence and bring more pleasure into every aspect of life. So now I want to take you on a quick walk down memory lane so that you know a little bit about where I'm coming from. I grew up in an environment where little girls were trained, expected to be seen and not heard. And being a child meant that you weren't quite fully human yet. You didn't have rights or boundaries, and that abuse was some type of tough love that was supposed to build and mold and shape you into whoever or whatever you were supposed to be. Of course, being the boisterous, outspoken, loud, confident, and faith-filled little girl that I was, I got into a lot of trouble. So I learned really early on that I had to play the game in order to minimize harm to myself and kind of survive. And that was to become invisible. And essentially, that's kind of what I did. So as you can imagine, over the years, perfecting this, invisibility, erasure, and also people pleasing, that didn't play out so well when I became an adult and entered the real world as a fully grown woman, right? So although I was always a high academic achiever, I did very well in my work, and I always brought such joy and light and inspiration into every space I came into. Internally, I was imploding. At home, my life was a mess. I was suffering from chronic depression. There were times where I was even suicidal. And I carried around such deep fears of failure, of rejection, of abandonment. And these cost me a lot of opportunities or a lot of self-sabotaging behaviors because I didn't know my worth. And so, as you can imagine, the conflict that was brewing inside of me began to seep into my relationships, into my work, into my educational experiences, and to the point where my life was complete chaos. And finally, in the year 2012, I don't know a whole lot about Mayan civilization, but they were definitely right about the shift because that's the year that I was diagnosed with polycystic ovary syndrome. I was morbidly overweight. I was eating all of my feelings, so of course. And I was going through the worst bout of depression. And finally, my 10-year toxic relationship had come to the point of a divorce. Now, although I was devastated in the moment, I know now it is the best thing that ever happened to me because everything that I thought I knew about myself, about life, and about love literally crumbled before my eyes, and there was nowhere else to hide. There was no more mask to put on. I couldn't hide in my relationship. I had to face life. I had to face myself. And so I remember one night in my mirror, gazing into my tear-stained eyes, just paralyzed. I was angry. I was hurt. I was devastated, confused, frustrated, and most of all, I was exhausted. And I just yelled, "Oh, why is your life always such a mess?" And in that moment, a stillness came over me. And I realized for the first time in my life, I saw my truth. I had no clue who the woman staring back at me was. And I had to make a choice, either throw the towel in, or I could grasp onto the slightest sliver of hope that there was a chance I could rise from these ashes of what seemed like destruction and rebuild my life, rewrite my story, create a new story. And so that's exactly what I did. I picked myself up and I took all of that pain and transformed it into purpose. So I learned the two most beautiful truths from spirit at that time in my life. Number one, girl, no one is coming to save you. It's impossible. They can't. Only you have that power. You got to save yourself. And number two, no matter what happens, you always get to choose how you show up in life. And so from that day forward, I chose to make three commitments to myself. Number one was utter radical self-acceptance without judgment. Number two was to own my story and see all of the things that had happened in the past as being on the way to becoming this amazing woman and not in my way. And number three was a daily commitment to holistic self-care, which simply meant small acts of service that honored my being physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And so as I began to make those changes, I started noticing my life change around me. I felt better. Within 3 months, I was completely free of PCOS. I went back to the doctor. I no longer have that diagnosis. I started losing some of that weight. I started making healthier choices, not just in terms of eating well and moving, but also how I saw myself. I began to know my worth. And that's when my first womb wisdom book came to me. And so I started reading Sacred Woman by Queen Afua. And after that, I read a book called Womb Wisdom. And I began to learn about this concept of the yoni and the womb, things I'd never even considered before. And learning about how to cultivate a relationship with myself, with my own spiritual sense of beingness by working with the yoni. So in the midst of creating all of these beautiful self-care remedies for myself, I was creating bath salts and oils and butters and clays and mixing essential oils together, massage candles, you name it. I also started to work with yoni steams. And this is a form of hydrotherapy for the vulva where I would take these herbs and blend them together and create these beautiful yoni steam blends to bring those therapeutic benefits of the herbs into my yoni space, which created a whole bunch of beautiful changes. There's so many benefits to that. And of course, we will definitely talk about that on this channel. I also started working with a yoni egg, and the yoni egg was very key in building self-awareness. There are so many aspects of myself that I had kind of left by the wayside and neglected. And the more I worked with my yoni egg, which is simply just a crystal that is inserted into the vagina, I started to really blossom in my creativity. I started feeling more powerful, more confident, and also more juicy. And my feminine vibrance, that sensuality really came back to me. So all in all, my holistic self-care journey has helped me to rediscover myself in my passion of helping other women to fully feel safe to embody who and what they are comes from that story. And so I hope you've enjoyed learning a little bit more about me today. Holistic Yoni Care is a company that I started to help you to build a relationship with your womb. And there's so many possibilities that you can unlock for your life. And I want that for you. So that's why I am here, and I will be here giving you the best of what I can offer as an herbalist, as an energy healer, and as someone who has done a lot of deep womb work. And of course, I am still learning and on this journey every day. So I hope we can grow together. Make sure that you click the subscribe button. Also hit the notifications bell so that you'll be the first to know every time I upload a video. And you can visit holisticyonicare.com to see the product and service offerings that I have there for the community. I look forward to seeing you on the next video. And until then, just remember this one thing. You get to choose how you show up in life. So love yourself fiercely, own your story, and say yes to you. Namaste.